Thanks for the intro and the incredible amount of pressure now. To be funny. But I appreciate all being here. So I am going to try, you're going to have to be engaged, or at least try, because really what I want this session to be is about you finding the answers that work for you. All right? So before I go there, 8 and under coaches in the room? Coach 8 and under. 9 to 12. All right, 13 and above. All right, so we're all over the map, but we're also spread out amongst table, and that's going to be really good, because eventually the meat of the presentation, we're going to talk about practice. We're going to talk about elements of practice and what makes a good practice. And the key thing here being, there are certain elements that go through youth hockey, whether you're coaching 8 and under or whether you're coaching 18U, right? So it's going to be important that you're in your groups and you bring that part of who you are as a coach, an 8 and under coach, 10 and under coach, 14 and under coach, to the discussion. And we're going to find, I hope, we're going to find these common elements that are important for us as coaches to bring to our kids. So first thing I want to do is I want to talk about what makes a great youth sport experience. Safety is a given, right? It's got to be safe. I often say the most important thing USA Hockey does is safe sport. The second most important thing is coaching education. But really, when you think about it, there's nothing more important than the safety of our children, right? That's why the Olympic Committee has made safe sport such an important part of every youth sport. So that's the question. What makes a great youth sports experience? And why is it important? It's important for this. Basically, when you remodel your kitchen or you put a deck on your house, you'll spend more time vetting out contractors than you will your local sports association or organization where you're going to bring your child to. Think about that. You're going to remodel your kitchen, chances are you got 3 people coming in and they're going to give you estimates and walk around and tell you what they're going to do and do all of this stuff because you're making a really important decision. And then your kid wants to play a sport and you just take them to the closest place and say, here's my kid. Do whatever you want. I got no idea what you guys do. And seriously, that's what happens in this sport. So it's important for us as coaches, before we know what to deliver, we have to ask ourselves this question. So amongst your table, you have a sticky note and a marker. So one person is going to be the scribe, okay, the secretary. And I want you to put one thought on every sticky note. So one thought per sticky note on what makes a good youth sport experience. Okay? One thought per note. You should get as many as you can. You got 3 minutes and 17 seconds to do that. Go. All right, what do we got? What do we got? Who wants to volunteer a thought? What makes a good youth sport experience? Fun. How many tables had fun? All right, great. So either you guys are really into fun, or you're like, well, there's the USA Hockey guy. We'll write down fun, right? What is fun? You got to give me more than fun. What really is fun? Because do I want to bring my kid to a youth sport that is fun? You mean, wait a second. You mean undisciplined play? The kid's just going to run around without any responsibility? Is that fun?
No.
What's fun?
Positive values, challenging environments, skill improvements, fighting with people.
Compete, challenging, environment. Well, there was another one. Skill improvement. Do kids think getting better is fun? Yeah, basically nobody really wants to suck at anything, right? Especially kids, they want to get better. What else? Anything else? That's it? That's everything?
Friendships.
Friendships. Okay.
The reward from hard work.
A reward from hard work. We're definitely thinking about our players' development, right? But we're also thinking about not just their sport-specific development, but we were also talking about some personal character, personal development, right? That's important too in the sport experience. We want to bring our child someplace where we know he's learning good values, right? Becoming a better person through sport. And that's really, really important. Anything else? Yes, sir.
I'll say give these kids a little bit of room to be themselves and not micromanaging everything they do.
Individuality. Individuality. Giving kids room to be themselves, allowing them to be creative, perhaps, right?
At the same time, working in a teamwork environment.
Two things that, can they go hand in hand? Sure. How much effect do we have to create that environment as coaches or youth sport leaders? How much, do you have effect in that? Can you affect it? Anybody have an example of how we can affect it?
Having your better players instruct the younger players.
So there's some leadership there, right? Some mentorship. Jack talked a little bit about mentorship. Anything else? So it's important if we're going to be good coaches that we understand what makes a good youth sport experience. Right? So I wrote some things up there. Developmentally appropriate framework. I don't want to take my kid to a sports association that is teaching him soccer for 18-year-olds when he's 7. Right? I want to make sure it's developmentally appropriate. I want some sport-specific development. My child wants to get better. And that's why I'm bringing him to your association, because I believe you're going to deliver some sort of skill improvement or mental improvement or something that's going to make him a better player. Personal development, we talked about leadership, character, camaraderie, fun, right? Teamwork. This is all important. And a positive experience, right? We want it. We want to win. Winning is not important. So we all say winning is not important. Nobody said winning. So I'll be what? Oh, wait a second. So wait, winning is important?
It has to be rewarded.
Yeah, it is.
It has to be rewarded.
Not necessarily winning, but they still have to make sure that when they're done, that they got something out of it.
So not every kid has to win, but there has to be some reward to it. Can winning be a reward?
Yeah.
Can winning be detrimental? Certainly the kid that sits at the end of the bench and doesn't get to play in the quarterfinal game because your game is way too important for him to play in. It can be detrimental to him. Right? Remember that just as they remember their good coach or the coach that didn't have the confidence in him, right? One of the great things we're doing in goaltending now at USAH Hockey, as per Phil O'Sare, who used to be our regional manager, is at 10 and under, well actually at 12 and under, he recommends, we're splitting goalies by the half period. Has anybody done that? What do you think?
We did it in 4 minutes, and we coached we swapped multiple times last year.
How many minutes your period?
We did it in tomorrow.
Can you hear that over here? Yeah?
We line changed our goals.
Line changed your goalies. So Phil doesn't recommend line changing, and not that that's bad, but his recommendation to coaches at 12 and under, 9, 10, 11, and 12, is to split them by the half period. So if your period's a 10-minute long, first goalie goes in for 5, and then he comes out for 5, and second 5, 5, 5, and 5. Right? And he has a litany of reasons for it. And they're all fascinating, right? Because, you know, and nothing about it is bad. Nothing about it is bad, right? A kid that gets lit up gets a chance to come back and cry on the bench and relax, and you get to settle him down, right? and the kid who goes out and throws a shutout for the first 5, his partner gets to go in, and now he throws one too. Now you're looking in the third period, and you got a team who's throwing a shutout, right? I mean, a lot of really good things about it, especially at the ages of 12 and under. He also believes right around the age of 13, we do have to start teaching our goalies some other things. But everywhere, has anybody done it and not liked it or not had success with it? Yeah.
I've switched goalies out, but I had a hard time being able to accurately measure the success. It seems, you know, you got a goalie play all the way through, you get good plus minus, you get goals against, you get things like that. But when you do it the other way, you don't get measurable. You do, but you don't get measurable results on paper as easy.
For who?
For the goaltenders, I'd see, you know, who's maybe performing or.
At what age?
Probably bad level.
Okay, now we're not talking about Bantams.
Okay.
We're talking about 12 and under. Bantams is a whole different thing, right? If we're going to be age appropriate,
Oh, yeah, sure.
we're going to handle our Bantam goalies a little bit different,
Yeah.
right? So you make an outstanding point,
Yeah.
but 12 and under, we're not worried about those measurables.
Yeah.
You also led me into my next thing. So you all have these thoughts. Of a great youth sport experience. I want a few of you from each table, take all your thoughts, 2 or 3 in your hand, and I want you to put them in one of these 3 categories. Player-centered, coach-centered, or parent-centered. All right, so you have fun, you have engagement. That'd be a player-centered outcome or player-centered element, correct? All right, let's go. Put them up there. Yes. Yes. I got to walk them up there. Yes, Of course, your teammates, they didn't help at all. Yeah. What if them all? Put it on the line, or put it down at the bottom. We're going to talk about it. If they're multiple, put it under the category that's most important. Most important.
The coaches, well, I think this is everyone's success. And of course, knowledgeable parents, kids. Listening. What you say? No, the parent and the coach and the kids. I know I have a lot of coach kids.
Okay.
I want to see me talk.
So let's see what we got.
Challenge.
Every single thing is leaning towards player-centered. We got some with coach, positive. Who put positive under coach? Tell me what that meant. Yeah.
Those are the parent players.
Okay. So, the coach, the onus is on the coach to create a positive environment for the player. Constant activity. The onus is on the coach to create an engaging atmosphere. For who? Reward. Parents? Parents? Reward for parents? Who has supposed to have a reward? The kid. Oh, now you're just trying to make it difficult for me. No, that's good. I'm kidding. Personal growth skills and sharp and character. So it's really important for my youth association that my coaches have personal growth, reward, and character. Player-centered, right? Teamwork. You need your coach to learn teamwork? Player-centered, learning, exercise, attention. Here's your challenge. no matter what age you're coaching, no matter what level, you ask yourself this question. Is this decision good for the child? Is this decision good for the player? There's nothing else matters. If you truly are creating a best possible youth sport organization, if you're coaching the best possible youth sports team, every decision should be about the child. And if it's not, you need to take a deep breath, take a step back and say, do I need to rethink this? Do I need to look at this differently? Because that's what youth sports is, right? The whole goal of what we're trying to do is give youth sport back to the youth. Give youth hockey back to the kids. I'm not saying don't coach. I'm not saying don't be demanding. I'm not saying don't be world-class, world-leading in everything you do. That's not about you. It's not about you. Okay? For years I ran an 8 and under program, and I had a guy, Brian Rapoon, and he was awesome at it, Saginaw guy. And he got it. He did my skating station for 24 straight weeks, 6 stations of 8 minutes apiece, and Brian stood in the skating station and gave them agility, balance, and coordination. Right? I went to another association, another guy I had skating. After week 5, he comes up to me and he says, "Hey Bob, can I go do something else?" I was like, "No, you're good at this. Get back in your station." Well, I'm getting kind of bored. I don't give a crap you're getting bored. The crap if the kids are getting bored. Right? You're an adult. You got 19 weeks left. Suck it up and teach the kids ABCs. Right? That's really the way we have to think. Not the kids. Really important. Okay? Now, developmentally appropriate framework. Let's watch a video here and then we'll talk about this.
Yes, sir. Okay, right the blue leg. Okay, and stop. Okay. Okay, Sam, ride the white leg. Okay, Sam, ride the purple bike.
See, I told you that. That was right before the neighbors called social services. All right. So, tell me about that video. What was developmentally appropriate for Sam and what wasn't? What'd you see? And there's a reason why we do an exercise like this. All right, let me preface this. As coaches, it's really important we learn how to observe. Right? What are the key elements of this video? I know you only saw it once. We can watch it again if you want. But what was developmentally appropriate or not appropriate in that video? Right?
Well, the white bike was more his size. The first bike was too small. Obviously, the last bike was too big.
Okay, does everybody agree with that? Anybody agree with it or think something differently? So you're saying the middle bike was developmentally appropriate for him?
I think it's our responsibility to find the appropriate bike, to challenge them. It's not too easy, but then it's not over their head where it's too hard. We have to find the appropriate, bike or exercise or drill.
So the middle bike, Was the middle bike challenging?
I think it was appropriate because he was standing up, he wasn't sitting down. So it was something he could accomplish, but it was probably a little challenging at times.
So it was appropriately challenging, right? How many educators in the room? Educators? Just a couple, right? Make sure I say this right. It's been a long time since all my education courses, but don't we want to give kids a challenge that is just out of their reach? So when they grasp that challenge, they feel a sense of accomplishment. Now we give them the next one just out of reach, right? We don't want to give them that challenge of the big bike, where it's so, right? So appropriately challenging. Any other thoughts? Are these guys right?
Yeah, they're right.
They're right.
I think the main thing is that the kids now pissed off and stifled because you know the big bike. He's no longer going to participate or try as hard anymore.
Ooh, so not only is the big bike maybe not developmentally appropriate, we may have actually stifled his...
Yeah. Yes, but also too, he might not buy into what his dad's telling him, or the coach is telling him anymore.
Because he can't do it.
Yeah, because he's like, you know what you're talking about, I can't do it.
Years ago, I saw an incredible practice in Russia, and they had 6 groups of players. And each group had a pro player, an under 20 player, an under 18, an under 16, under 14, and an under 12 player in each group. They were grouped that way, okay? And the pro player was responsible for teaching the drill and the skill they were doing in their area. The idea wasn't that the under 14 player would do the drill exactly like the pro player. The idea was he was mimicking what the 16 player did. And the 16 player was reaching for what that 18 player could do. Right? The 18 player, right? So within that little group, there was these almost steps of challenge that each of them could see. It was really fascinating to watch. So there's a really important thing here that they did that. What about the small bike? What if I told you, I agree, by the way, the middle bike is probably developmentally appropriate. What if I wanted to make an argument that so is the small one? Wait, before that, which one was fun for him? Small one. Ooh, he skidded on the medium one. Talk about coaches, the power of observation. We can really infer there was some engagement and fun going on with that second bike because of the skid, right? But I just threw this out about the small bike, and all of a sudden, I got yeses and nos. What do we got here with the small bike? Yeah?
It's like, I love to get on my kid's 90cc motorcycle and just carry it.
How is that helpful?
You know?
How is that not fun? Is it good for you?
Well, yeah, it's good for me. Fun.
Small bike? Anybody else disagree with?
It's good to get that feel of confidence to know you're good. Proficiency.
Ooh, proficiency and confidence.
I'm not saying like it's right to ride a little one all the time, but even I got older kids that get in my kids' little electric go-karts and they play with that more now, but they're older.
How many people, when you show up at elementary school for parents' night, and you have to walk through the gym and you see the 8-foot-high baskets? Yeah, right. Hey, every single one of us want to go dunk, baby. Right? There's our chance. So there is some, right? Somebody out here is going to say something about the small.
I just have something on this, maybe other people have the same problem. Where I've coached high school, travel, whatever, all over the board. Right now I coach a band team. Anyway, we have 27 skaters right now. Seven of them skate developmentally as a peer. Okay, so I had the same issue last year. It's very difficult to run drills that challenge the upper kids, but the younger, the people that developmentally, okay, they can't do the drills. That's a very difficult thing when you're coaching, house hockey, because it's so hard to challenge the upper bracket and without frustrating that lower bracket of the kids. And I don't know if anybody else has that problem.
So
I talk to all the coaches in cross-country junior hockey, and in house hockey, we all have that similar problem every practice.
Okay, so I'm going to challenge you right now. How many have that problem?
I do.
I just like some ideas. How do you?
You're doing it wrong.
Brooklyn.
You got the easiest. Hold on.
Adapt to the drills. So you can't. can't force it. You gotta push it.
More coaching, that was my problem, more coaches.
So how do we solve that problem? That's a problem we have throughout the United States, but I'm sorry, that's not a hard problem to solve because we've been talking about it for 10 years. Solve it for me.
Coaches and stations.
You can,
Coaches and stations.
yeah, you can have success at different levels.
Success at different levels. It's so funny. Tomorrow, we're going to have a conversation about what is the ADM. And we're going to answer your question in a little
And
bit
we
more.
do, I do all this stuff, and I encourage, I even taken outdoor rings, one-on-one with these kids, and taken them skating to the SDC and all of these things. You know, but development, some of these kids just never catch up, right? One guy's gonna go to the NHL, but you want those kids to be just as happy. You know, that's the difficult part, and the way we function, we just don't have enough ice time. So it's great to break into groups, but reality is, at some point in our season, we have 1 hour of practice time a week, that's it. And we go 2 games. I mean, the ratio should be much different from that. You know, I try to explain that to parents.
All right, so I hear what you're saying, but let's come out of your way of thinking. Why isn't that hour appropriate enough for you to break into stations? Because, right, the most important thing about
It is enough. I'm not arguing that point. It is enough. But you also need to teach them I mean, there's a lot of kids that I've coached that have had not good coaching. They actually don't understand even the concept of defense and offense and positional play at the bantam level. And it's amazing to me, you know, that they make it this far.
So
without understanding.
be careful here, because you're in my wheelhouse,
Yeah.
okay?
Well, that's what we need to learn, right?
No, you're sort of asking. You're sort of asking. What's one of the most important tenets of the American development model? Putting kids by how? Age-appropriate training. Skill level. Likability. Putting kids by likability. So, at the band, and what's your name? I'm sorry.
Eric.
Eric. At the band level, Eric, I could teach almost anything I need to teach bantams in a 1/6 of the ice. Maybe in a 1/4. For sure in a 1/3. Okay? Now, and I'm talking about, and this is good, see, tomorrow we're going to talk about how to define position, and we're going to talk about how to teach position, right, and what bantams need to know. So the challenge, 1 hour stations and everything, the challenge for you is how do I take the concepts that are developmentally appropriate for bantams, who may have skill sets of squirts, with my team that's varied, and how do I put that into play? So you start by saying, okay, the first thing I'm going to do is break down this team. Don't let me forget we're on Viking, we're on Sam. Okay, we're still on Sam. The first thing we do is we take this team and we break them down into groups of likability. Okay, now, sometimes you have a problem with groups of likability because we don't understand how important it is. I will tell you this. Minor midget 16U AAA hockey was the last youth hockey level I coached. Hands-on coach. I separated those kids into my top half kids, my bottom half kids in the stations. Top third, middle third, bottom third. Top quarter, second quarter, third quarter. On a weekly basis. On a weekly basis, because it changes that much, and because Michael decides for the next 3 weeks he's going to be more important, you know, his girlfriend's going to be more important than hockey, and he's moving down in his group because that's the level of his effort, his attention to detail, that's the level of what he's bringing to practice. So the first thing is we must be comfortable in separating our kids like that. And that's not a bad thing, right? Sometimes our parents think that's a bad thing. God, I'm going all over the map now. The Swedes actually give a percentage to it. The Swedes will tell you 60% of your hockey playing time should be against kids of likability. 20% should be of kids that are a little better than you. and 20% should be against kids who are not as good as you. Now, the reason the Swedes can give a percentage of that is they have complete vertical integration in their system, right? A 16U player can play with an 18U team at any time. 18U player can play with a 20U team. They even have in their ability, they can take a 20-year-old and play him on the under 19 team. Oh, wait a second, he's 20, how can you play him on the 19? Because their entire system is completely vertically integrated. They allow for that. Why? Why do they allow for that? Pay attention, I like that. Give him his card now, he can go home. What's best for the player? Okay, so Eric, the first thing is, and by the way, you look really familiar. Did we meet when I was up in the country?
Maybe possibly.
Yeah. Anyway, so the first thing is not be afraid of putting kids, no matter what age, in groups by likability. The second thing is to accept the fact that we're going to teach offensive and defensive positioning here with our least skilled players. We're going to do the same thing here with our most skilled players. Same drill, same concepts, but they're going to be with kids in which they can learn from or play against. Right? So that's the first thing. Second thing is understand, and this does take manpower. The biggest thing that this, the dirtiest secret of the American development model is the fact that it's hard to do. It's not easy. That's why we give you so many, or we try to give you so many practice plans and thoughts and everything. So don't be afraid to put in likability. Don't be afraid to do the same drills even with your lesser kids. And when it comes to actually doing drills with skills, it's okay because they are broken up by this to do skills of differing or varying levels from your two stations. But the key is really to break it down and do it like that. And we're going to actually talk a little bit more in depth, maybe a little bit later on, tomorrow, on how to do that. We're going to take, how do you teach position at your age group? And we're going to talk about how can that happen with 9-year-olds and what should look like with 15 or 14-year-olds. Let's get back to Sam and the bike. Small bike. Good, bad, yes.
So, what I noticed when he was on the little bike is that his feet were just flying. And he was not going nearly as fast as he did on the medium bike. So he's wasting all that energy. He probably might be a little frustrated with how fast he's going. Once he gets back on the big bike, and if you go back and forth between them, I'm sure he would prefer the bike one because once he can go faster.
So wait a second, you said he was getting frustrated? Possibly. But over there we said he was getting confident.
I think he can do tricks on a little bike.
Oh! He can do tricks on a little bike. Is that important? Creativity. Confidence. So, yeah.
I was going to say the little bike probably just reinforces basics on riding a bike. I think that's always important.
Is always important. What do the Swedes say? I just told you. 20% important, at least. Right? Right? Give them a situation where they're more comfortable. Right? What I'm trying to get to is developmentally appropriate. Two things. One, both those bikes can be very developmentally appropriate, depending on what you're teaching and what you want to accomplish. And there might be times where you're giving them an easier drill to do for a very short time because you don't want them to get bored, you don't want them to get frustrated, or perhaps when we're talking about skill, is there a progression of skill? If I want to teach players the Mario move, but they don't know how to bring the puck laterally across their body, I'm probably not going to just go Mario move, Mario move, Mario move, right? I'm probably going to throw a little time of lateral, hands across the body, lateral, hands across the body, lateral. All right, now they got that, so now we're gonna go Mario, hands across the body, escape. Go. Right? Not a lot of time, because we don't want them to get bored, but we do want to build their confidence. So there may have been some developmentally appropriate things we saw with the small bike. But I think it's safe to say we all agree the big bike would put the kid in some sort of danger. Right? Physically or mentally, sir.
Yeah, I don't know how this is gonna work, but,
Go.
one of the things that frustrates me when if you put a kid in a situation like that.
Big one. Yeah.
At what point, or at some point in there, the relationship between you and that child, you might be risking them trusting you. And how does that affect you as a coach if you turn a kid off?
But we've said we should put the kid in that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I've seen, I shouldn't say, I've been around long enough maybe, but I can say this. I've seen coaches put kids in those situations. Kids get real frustrated, they don't trust the coach, they don't hang around.
Well, there's a sweet spot we gotta find, because just as many kids quit a sport because they, the coach has put themselves in a relationship where it's no more fun.
That's the
Right.
relationship thing, I think.
Right. So it is important. Knowing what's developmentally appropriate is incredibly important for what we do. Yeah.
What about the kid who gets back on that big bike over and over again and gets it? The one kid, you see it's back on that big bike, gets it. There's gonna be one.
I don't think, so we may be becoming splitting hairs right now, because I think we can make the argument that bike he's not gonna do it. He can't even get to that bike. But maybe if there was a bike that was 4 inches lower, we can say, oh, maybe that was a challenge some kids might do, right? So we gotta be careful here. We wanna challenge the players. Remember that word, right? We wanna challenge the players with that phrase. All right, so that's it. Now here's why it's difficult. I'm gonna have you tell me. Developmentally appropriate. Making decisions based on cognitive ability, physical ability, the abilities, experience. In your specific situation of coaching hockey, why is that so difficult? How does that become even more difficult than just us having a conversation about sand? Just sand. And Eric, you kind of started leading us that way, right? But what is it about youth hockey, or all youth sport, that you're dealing with as coaches that challenge you to be the best coach you can be? Yes?
The kids all develop very differently in terms of, especially as they approach the Bantam, Pee Wee Major, Bantam era. You can have 5 years difference between people that are the same age.
Right? They develop differently. Every athlete, in its essence, is an experiment of one. Every athlete is an experiment of one. And you have kids that are born when? When's the first cutoff date for your team? January 1st. And when's the last cutoff date? December 31st. Right? So your job of being developmentally challenged, right, or trying to navigate that is enhanced or even more difficult when you talk about that range of players you have, right? So this ability to observe, this ability to put kids in groups of likability, this coaching ability to then choose the right challenges for your kids is not easy, right? That's why you're at level 4 here, yeah.
I think I'm a hockey director for our program, so I have kids from 6 years old all the way up to I'm coaching midgets. And I actually have one drill that I use all the way through the entire gamut. And I just make it smaller or bigger Or I don't sweat the small stuff. If my squirt can't do this thing exactly the way a midget can do it, I watch it, and as long as they're developmentally not hurting themselves or hurting the way they develop for that fundamental that I'm trying to teach in that drill, then I allow it. And watch them through the course of the season. You'll see them get better and better and better and better, and you can watch them getting more confidence doing that drill. And then you can take the same drill, and Bill and I were doing that exact same drill with our midgets the other day, and they had us wore right out because we were passing back to them in this drill.
How we change the constraints of drills, right, really important. And the most simple way to explain that is you might just be doing chaos puck handling in half the ice, right? And you as a coach are looking at chaos puck handling, kids are skating around with the puck, they're getting their head up, maybe they're challenging themselves, maybe they're not, right? And the simplest things to do is just move the bumpers up or back based on what you want to attain from that drill, right? So that idea of changing the constraints of our drill goes back to where are our kids developmentally. All right. Oh. As a table, I want you to come up with the definition. Yeah, you're level 4 coaches. You should know this. It's been around for 10 years. What is the American Development Model? 1 or 2 sentences worthy of publishing in Webster's, because those who are old enough to remember when Webster's was a thing. The definition of what is the ADM. All right? This one I'll give you 2 minutes and 3 seconds. All right, get ready to wrap it up. I'm going to ask you what you think. Was it? Is that all I gave you? I'm being very random. All right, who has a good definition you want to share with the group? Who wants to
Be bold.
go be bold? Yes, sir.
Small area skill development and continuous improvement.
Small area skill development and continuous improvement. I like it. I like the continuous improvement part. What about the 8 a.m. at 18U? Don't we suggest full ice practices for 15, 16, 17, 18 year olds?
Absolutely, there's nothing against small area games.
I didn't say there was any. I asked you to define the ADM. Not just small area. It's not just small area. But you're right. How many like it? Who can improve on it? Where are we going with it? Come on. Oh, you're not getting off that easy. He was bold. What's your name?
Matt Eldridge.
Oh yeah, Matt. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. Matt? He's got part of the definition right on. Yeah, what do you got?
Age and skill specific development.
Age and skill specific development. So it's appropriate, right? It's age appropriate. What else is it?
More practice-based instead of game. So 2/3 practice, 1/3 game.
Depending on the age.
Yeah.
It's age appropriate. It's an age appropriate relationship between practice and game time. But that's still, yep. Anything else?
I like the aspect of accumulation of knowledge. That's the aspect I like about it.
Accumulation of knowledge. Give me more about that. What do you mean?
It's that walk on the shoulders of giants, you know, like, this is, everybody's figured this out over 100 years or 200 years of hockey, and this is what we're doing. I don't know how to say that in a sentence, but.
So it's based on proven practices, it's based on sports science, it's based on all this. We're missing a huge component, and this is why I asked the question. We're missing a huge component of what the ADM is, and we miss it every time I do this.
More touches?
Oh, don't say you got it now. You were afraid to say it out loud. That doesn't count. What's there? What did we say? What 2 words did we say? High performance. Here's the problem. We launched the ADM. Everybody wanted to fight about half ice, cross ice, 8 under. Oh my God. We were, unicorns, balloons, and rainbows. Everybody gets a medal. No, it wasn't, people. Pay attention. ADM is high performance development. Oh, how can cross-ice hockey be high performance development? Is it 8? Is it 8? And here's the thing, and I hear it all the time, and I see it, and is, the ADM, yeah, that's good for those kids. This is our ADM program. As soon as I hear this is our ADM program, I know they're doing it wrong. Because ADM is hockey, it's USAH hockey, it's high performance hockey. Oh, hey, you should come and see our association. We're doing the ADM on steroids. Ooh. They still have no idea what the ADM is, but at least now I'm intrigued they might be doing it right. If you're doing it right, it's high performance hockey. It is station-based on steroids. It's small area skill development on steroids. I know that's a bad example for us you people, but I didn't come up with another one, right? But it's like, it's high performance hockey. It's high performance hockey. It's player-centered. It's world-class and world-leading. And if you or anybody in your association thinks, oh, it's for those rep players, or the ADM is good for those guys, or we're getting out of our ADM program, whoo, can't wait to get to 9U hockey. We're done with that ADM crap. You missed the point. You missed the point. That's why when Jack asked me to do level 4s, for me, it's so important that we answer this question of what is the ADM? Because you know what? We've been at it for 10 years, and shame on us, most people don't know. They're so busy fighting against it, because it's not about what's good. It's not about the kids, right? It's about change. It's all it's about. That we forget what it is. So, we're going to talk about this now, and I want you to watch some videos. And we're getting near the end of it, so I'm going to have to go a little quicker than I had wanted to, but our discussion has been, I think, it's been really good. But I do want to talk a little bit about this. So I want you to watch these next few videos. And then we're going to do a little group table exercise. Make mental notes of what you're seeing.
The goal line game is a tight space game that works on a player's offensive and defensive skills and awareness around the net. Begin by drawing a line across the corner, creating a 6-foot space behind the net. 2 players from each team start the playing area with a neutral goaltender. The coach initiates the game by spotting the puck into space that creates a loose puck battle. Players can be 2-on-2, and on change of possession, the puck must be carried or passed below the goal line before the new offensive team can attack the net. The goal line game can be played at different age levels, but as the players get older, more details within the game can be developed. demanded. Defensively, the game focuses on having good body and stick position, awareness of opponents away from the puck, as well as quick transition to offense. Offensively, we are focusing on maintaining puck possession, using skating and body positioning skills to attack the net, and offensive support away from the puck. Now let's look at this same shift sequence in greater detail. The coach spots a puck to create a loose puck battle. The blue team gains possession, and initially the two white players start in good defensive position. The first defender at the puck has defensive side body position between the puck carrier and the net. He also has good stick position, taking away the passing lane. The puck carrier uses puck protection and skating skills to separate and attack the net. The first defender stays with him and does a good job of playing stick on puck. Defender 2, however, stares at the puck and loses track as a man, allowing the opponent to slip behind and into good scoring position.
Okay, so now in your group, we're going back to the sticky notes. I want one concept or thought per sticky note on what makes a good practice. What do you have to have for a good practice? Okay? What elements are in a good practice? Okay, you should have multiple answers.
That one? I think that was the best drill there.
All right, now, I want you to take all your thoughts. I want you to take all your thoughts and separate them by category. I want you to categorize them without knowing what the categories are. So, for example, if you have one thing that says fun and another says engaging, that's probably the same category, right? If you have one thing that says puck handling and another that says skating, that might be under a skill category. So go ahead and separate your sheets into categories. That's it? That's what you guys got? And you put it on one sticky note? You're supposed to use one per sticky note.
Oh, one per?
Yeah.
Oh, man, I'll pass them around.
Oh, around the corner. Yeah, we should throw them all.
5 to 7 minutes, you went over, Jack.
I would have it going where the minute they do under the stick, under that thing, the minute they got up, when it comes, I'd have that up for the next time.
Any of those 4 or 5 sheets, yeah. We're reusing because
That's why I
recycling.
chaos.
No intention. All right, so here's what the rest of you are doing now. You're taking your thoughts, each one, and you're going to put them with this group's thoughts. Now, there are 5 sheets of paper. There are 4 on the wall that we're recycling. Don't pay any attention to the words. All right? And you're going to categorize them in those 5 sheets. So, for example, if I'm going up here because I have my tables fun, I'm looking around here and they have, involvement and engagement, fun goes there in that group, right? And you guys, okay, so that's what that is. So right now there are 3 categories. Put your sheets on those, but we have 2 empty sheets. And if you have something that doesn't fit in those categories, start a new category. Go ahead.
Top stickies again.
All right. So just looking here, I'm going to tell you what we've come up with. Fun, engaging, player-centered involvement, fun, engaging activity. Then we have someone to put development of game-like situations, which can be fun, right? But I would argue that's a category. That's a category, right? We're trying to teach the players how to play the game, right? So that could be a category to itself. Development, competition, high pace, efficient, high intensity, effective use of time. Effective use of time, lots of puck touches, right? Skill specific, right? Kind of 2 or 3 things going on here, but basically we all kind of thought, you know, ADM, small area, station-based, skill development, kind of right here. And then here we have game situations. What are game situations? The development of game-like situations, right? Ice usage, over there, small groups, organization, multi-stations. It's interesting, well-planned and organization comes up a lot, right? And maybe I need to change my talk a little bit, because that's a given. That's a given. Just like safety. Be prepared. Period. Period. Or don't coach. Right? It's that important that we're going to have player-centered. We're going to have a player-centered mentality. It's that important. You can't show up at 6 o'clock on Wednesday, and I know you all have jobs, but that's why there's practice plans on the website that you can hit print for if you really are under a gun. Right? But you can't show up on Wednesday and think, while the drill's going on, what am I going to do next? Because that's not player-centered, that's not making the kids better. Right, so here's what we have come up with, and interestingly enough, every single one of your thoughts are here. And that was my point at the beginning. You're in groups of multi-age coaches. 8 and under, 9 to 12, 13 and above. Yet what makes a quality practice doesn't change. The specifics within that practice will change because it's age appropriate. But every practice should be engaging, fun, and competitive. Right? When I get through all these, we have a problem, you let me know. Lots of repetition. Do your practices have lots of repetition? Right? Repetition without repetitiveness. You saw a video of players going through the same cones over and over and over again. And then you saw a video of kids having pucks randomly skating in a small area. One's repetitive, one's repetition with repetitiveness, one's repetition without repetitiveness. Big difference on what you delivered there. Really big difference. Not to mention the fact that everybody see the video with the skills coach, right? You want to bet how many times that skills coach said, keep your head up, keep your head up, keep your head up, right? Isn't that what we say when we're teaching kids to puck handle? And then what did he do for the drill?
Skated around, got thrown.
What did he do with his drill? Told the kids, keep your head up, and then how did he fashion his drill? What'd they go around? Where are the cones? Billy, keep your head up. Go around that cone. All right, coach. Constant decision making. Every one of our practices, we should allow the players to make decisions. Right? Not go around this cone, go around that cone, do this, do that. But put kids in situations where everything they do, they're making a decision, because by doing that, they increase player awareness, right? And we should be starting increasing player awareness in an age-appropriate manner, starting with 8-year-olds. Different kinds of tag actually is the beginning of teaching player awareness at 6 and 7. Think about it. Ahmed, you're skating close by me. Now I'm just totally ignoring my time. Ahmed, you're skating close by me. I go like this to tag you. What do? Yeah, that's player awareness. That's decision making for 6-year-olds. Right there. Challenges the player. Right? We talked about that. And here's the big one. Transferability. Is what you're doing transfer from practice to game? Is what you're doing have features in common with the game? Right? And that's a big topic, and actually we're going to start tomorrow's discussion that I have with you right there. I want you to think about what does it mean when your drills or your activities have qualities or features that are in common with the game. And specifically, I want you to think about this. I want you to think about 5-on-0 breakout versus 5 versus 5 scrimmage. That's what we're going to start our discussion with tomorrow. For you Mike coaches, squirt coaches, and pee-wee coaches, we're going to talk about this, what you just saw. Does that have something in common with the game? Go and take a shot. Versus this. Does that have transferability to today's game? For 6, 7, and 8-year-olds. Okay? So I appreciate your time. Sorry I went over a few minutes. Greg, I apologize. I told you I wasn't going to do that, and I did it. But think about that tonight. Dinner, having a beer, walking around the golf course. What is transferable from practice to game? What truly is transferable? How do, and then as coaches, as level 4 coaches, how do we make that happen? We're gonna actually, if you remember, I ran out of time yesterday, and we said we were going to pick up where we left off. So before we get into the next topic, which is position, what is position? All right? I just want to go back to this. So here's the importance of this. We're going to go through those videos again, and I want you in your mind, lay this down next to the video you're seeing. But here's the importance of this at every age. Because if you remember yesterday, you were mixed up by age, yet we all came to the same conclusion. We came to the same conclusion that when we're talking about youth athletics, no matter what age, those are the 5 categories that we have to make sure every one of our practice entails. Ideally, every one of our activities should have an element of that. All right? So when you get this in Dropbox, what I challenge you to do is take last year's practices, take this year's practices, take the practice that you're going to write out next week, put it on your desk, print off this sheet, put it next to it, and say, is this drill fun and engaging? Is this drill competitive? Does this drill have transferability? Right? Does this drill give my kids the most repetitions without repetitiveness? Right? So upgrade your practice, enhance your practice by using these things as a map of how you can have effective practices. So now, This is what we're looking for. Let's watch that first video, because I gave you an assignment last night, right? We're going to talk about 5-on-0 breakout versus 5-on-5 scrimmage. And we're going to talk about 8-and-under hockey in this first video. Fun and engaging? What? No. Transferability. Is there any transferability whatsoever?
There's a shot. There's a fast shot.
Very, very little? Very little transferability? We don't see that very often at the highest levels of the game? Now let's look at this. Hang on, we're going to get to that thought. Let's look at this. We know it's fun and engaging. We know there's reps. There's some decision making. Not as much as I'd like for 8-and-unders, but we've evolved as in the ADM over the years. I don't know what's going on with my video today. But I want to talk about transferability. So go ahead, what was your comment? Oh, okay.
What I said was they were passing from below the red line out to the point, and they were coming in all the way to the goalie to make a shot. That does not happen very often.
There you go. That does not happen. Okay? Transferability is putting your kids in a situation, all right, that has qualities and features of the game. Right? We're not saying, oh yeah, that's a breakaway. Yeah. Very seldom happens. Doesn't make our kids better. If you look at those 5 things, it doesn't help us. What about this practice? Is that transferable?
Yeah.
Yeah, why? Because this is how you got to think when you're looking at your practice plan. This is how you got to think in order to make your kids better, keep them engaged. Why is that transferable?
Well, there's stick handling and traffic.
There's traffic. There's some decision-making going on. What's that?
There's obstacles.
There's obstacles too, and as they get older, we want to increase those obstacles. We're going to talk about that in the next couple of videos, because that's really interesting. Let's keep that idea in the back of our mind about obstacles. All right? Really important. I'm not going to make you watch this again, but there's a really interesting point in this video where a kid loses the puck in station number 5. Or 6, the passing station, 6. And the puck goes all the way to the neutral zone. Right? This is the way kids think, right? So instead of getting another puck, which by the way, there were 100 on the ice, you could just turn around and have another one, which is really important to have a lot of pucks on the ice. Okay, at young ages, kids should never be looking for pucks. It should be there. You want them on their stick. He skates all the way through station 4, or 5, 4, and 3 to pick up that puck, and then he goes back. And on that way, he goes around this kid, and over this kid, and he's over here, and he's looking for his puck. He's passed 40 of them, but he's looking for his puck. And he gets his puck, and now he has to handle that puck and go all the way back. He learned more about hockey doing that than you putting him in the corner and having him listen. So there's a lot of transferability. Now, this one. Remember this one? Okay. Remember this one? What's better? What's more transferable? What's more fun? What's more repetitive without repetition? Where are we at with those and why? Tell me about the first drill. Good drill? Bad drill? How does it hit those 5 things in practice?
They're not worried about sticking on, they're worried about doing first progression. Coach told the second one, they're just worried about sticking on and keeping their head so they don't run it. They're come out watching the ground, going, okay, run back home, I have to do this, run back home. Not go run the next one.
What's more like hockey? The second one. Right? What he said was they're not worried about following the progression. The word we want to use all the time is random. The second drill puts your kids in random situations where every repetition is different. Every decision is different. It's not I go around this cone, then go around this cone, I make a Mario move here, I go side to side here, I do a pull and drag here. It's kids choosing what they should do here. Now the big argument is progression, and how do kids learn, and is there value, what I talked about yesterday, do you learn this before you learn that, right? And what we know is that's not necessarily so, right? There's value to learning the technical skills of playing hockey, but there's not necessarily value to saying a kid has to do this before he can do that, right? So that's what that provides as well, right? That randomness of coaching or top-down coaching is really important. So now I want to watch a small area game, and I want you to think about the 5 elements that make a good practice, and tell me, how does this relate and why? And I turn the sound off so we can watch this and make determinations. All right, so we watched a little bit of it. Let's go through. First thing is what? Fun and engaging. Yes? They're what? They're what? They're competing. Which Heather just told us about an hour ago is part of fun. Right? Is that right, Heather? Yep. All right, so they're competing. How about repetition without repetitiveness?
Yes.
Yes. Same scenario, well, different scenario. Same scenario, but different every time. Same situation, but the scenario is different every time. Right? How about puck touches? Yeah, again, repetition, right? We're there. Activities, compete. What else are we looking for? They're moving without the puck. What?
Transferability.
Transferability. Right there, right? But there's more than puck battle, so this is really good right here. So there's transferability, which is really, really high off the charts. How about awareness and decision making? Right? Through the roof. Good for everybody. Goalies, forwards, defensemen, it doesn't matter. And the transferability, of course, is through the roof. Now, here's where we have to be careful, level 4. Soon to be level 4 coaches don't count the chickens before they hatch. This is where we have to be careful. Okay? Compete. Every time we talk about small area games, I ask every room I'm in, what do you see? And someone says, oh, compete. Oh, compete. Compete. There's so much more going on here. Okay? Why do we play small area games? Oh, we compete. Oh, they're fun. Oh, it's repetition without repetitiveness. Yeah. But there's so much more going on here. We're learning position. We're learning positioning. We're learning how to create offense down low. We're learning how to win puck battles. Right? There's an incredible amount of technical skill that's going on here. So now what does that mean? Well, Bob, USA Hockey for 20 years has said, let the game be the teacher. Okay? We have. But it's been completely misinterpreted. Right? 2 biggest misinterpretations we've had in 20 years of USA Hockey was at 12 and under, all kids should be trained the same way. That's what the ADM said. At 12 and under, every kid should be trained the same way, whether he's the best player or the worst player. And you know what everybody in the hockey community heard? Oh my God, you're making everybody recreational hockey players. Here's USA Hockey, just want our money again. No, we didn't say that. In fact, what we said was, as I said to you yesterday, high performance development. world-leading coach, world-leading programs. Every kid at 12 and under deserves the best opportunity to fulfill his or her potential. That's what we said. What the people in downstate Michigan heard was, oh, we got to play that cross-site. Everybody's going to be the same.
It wasn't downstate Michigan.
It wasn't just downstate. Right? So that's the first thing. The second most common misperception is let the game be the teacher. Well, what does that mean, Bob? Here we go. Dump the puck in and I sit with my butt against the wall and I let them play. Let the game be the teacher is setting up the playing environment to transfer the skills you want to the player. And when I say skills, I'm talking about awareness, decision-making, positioning, all of that. So, if there's anything I can, you leave this, this is so funny, right? I'm ending yesterday's presentation now. There's a message in there somewhere. But, you know, when you're designing your drills, review them with those 5 elements in mind. When you go back and review your practices, review them with those 5 elements in mind. All right? And the challenge to you, which we don't have time to recreate right now, is to take that drill and make it better. Right? Take that drill and make it better. So what's more transferable to a game? 5-on-0 breakout or 5-on-5 scrimmage?
5-on-5 scrimmage.
5-on-5 scrimmage?
I think it's 5-on-0.
5-on-0? What?
Because they get a chance to do things right.
So the next time you're going to play, you're hoping for them to write 5-on-0 breakout?
Never turned out.
Okay. So pretty well, though, 5-on-0 breakout, we're preparing our team to be the best team on the ice if the other team doesn't put anybody on against us. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. Okay? In fact, there's no room for it all. It's the bane of existence of hockey. 5-on-0 breakout. You know what 5-on-0 breakout does? It makes you feel better. Think about it. 5-on-0 breakout makes you feel better. Or worse. The dumbest possible drill you could do. Okay, that is the most astute comment ever. Or worse. Why would it make you feel worse?
Because it's like, oh my God, these guys don't want to. Anyways, it never works out.
It never works out. And why don't you think it works out? I feel like, what is it, the Moneyball movie? Don't make me point to Heather. I'm going to point to Heather. Why does it work out? Well, it never happens that way. That's why it's not transferable.
They're not having fun while they're explaining it.
They're not engaged. Who wants to do 5-on-0 breakout? When they do it, you're happy because you think you're a brilliant coach. And then you get to the game and the other 15 puts 5 guys on the ice and you realize, well, I wasn't that brilliant, right? Or they can't make a pass from D to forward. And now you're mad at them because they can't make a pass. And you know what they're thinking? This sucks. This is awful. There's no transferability at all. There's no essential element of a good practice. Okay? In fact, you remember the drill after the Mike 1-on-0 loop and shoot where I showed you the 2 junior players coming out of the corner? And they actually crashed into each other? And then the next 2 went, and what did they do? They crashed into each other? That is a sure sign of those 4 players coming from a program that did 5-on-0 breakout. It is. They couldn't get out of the way of each other. And by the way, something that was termed as a junior development camp. Do you remember the drill I'm talking about? Please shake your head if you remember the drill, right? You remember it? You know what those players learned, what they got really good at? Really, really good at? Standing in line. If we are developing really good line standers, that coach is brilliant. All right? That's the way you have to think. Right? That's what we are. So the 5-on-5, now here's the tough part. 5-on-5 scrimmage, and I wouldn't necessarily do 5-on-5 scrimmage, but I would create things to do. Like, for example, Mark, we got one? No? Nobody? A real, no, a race football. That's looking right on the tray. There's nothing.
Hey, wait, I got one here. Blue, it was, oh, you know what, it's on this table.
Yes. You got one over here?
Sharpies.
All right, I'll use a Sharpie, that's fine. I'll use a Sharpie, you can see a Sharpie. All right. So how does that mean? How do we break it down? All right? Put it in this box.
Bob, I got one here if you want.
I'm good now. All right? This is, thank you. So where's that in between? How do I teach breakout if I don't want to do 5-on-5 scrimmage and I know Bob's telling me 5-on-0 makes me a lousy coach? All right? How can I do that? And then we talked about different abilities yesterday, right? How we do that. All right? 18U hockey, 16U AAA, 14U, 10U house, a sixth of the ice. You get the puck to break out, you forecheck, you get open. Breakout. Technique, check your shoulder, surround the puck, make a pass. That's the whole drill. Not go stand here on the breakout. Pass to the guy on the wing. That's the whole drill. What's that? Everything is in there. Everything is in there. Every part of breakout hockey is in there. And you can do it 2-on-1, 2-on-2, 3-on-2. You can do whatever you want to do. But now think, and this is the point I was going to point out here. How important is what this coach says to these three players? Okay? Not go here, go there, but I'm going to dump the puck in, you retrieve it, break out, you forecheck, you get open. So what this coach says is important. What's the second most important thing that coach does in this drill? What? Well, no, because what I was trying to say earlier is the game sets the environment. We're still there to connect the dots. Hey, Billy, what did you see there? Why did you make that pass? Asking questions, getting feedback, right? But that's the third most important thing. First most important thing is how the coach frames the drill. The third is the feedback he gives. Helping kids connect the dots. Oh, this is great. Jack, I propose if they can't get this answer right, they don't get the level 4 card. I think this is great. Okay, you gotta write it on your answer. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I guess we're a little too late in the process to joke about that. Okay, sorry. Okay. What's the second most important thing this coach does on every rep in this drill? Think about it. Not just dumps it, but not shoots it.
Puts the pressure on?
No, he's not part of the drill. We got a forechecking guy. You said it right, but it's the wrong phrase because we don't want to just dump the puck in. We have a responsibility. If you are running small area games and you're the coach that every time takes the puck and flips it in, unless you're practicing that for your men's league game next week, stop doing it. No, you don't want to give it to one of the players because guess what in a hockey game? Nobody gives you the puck. Place it. Spot it. Shoot it on the goalie. Put it in the area. Dump it up off the glass. Put it along the wall. Your second most important part of this drill is you're going to create every possible breakout they can encounter in a 2-on-1 by where you put the puck. Where you spot the puck in small area games is paramount to the effectiveness of the game. Because if I do 3 here, 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 and they're same thing, okay? And then I lay the puck along the wall here, and now my defender or my first guy back picks it up and goes this way, is his teammate smart enough to open up there? What if he goes around the net? Is he smart enough to come across there? That's really what we're teaching. He has to decide. Maybe he starts this way and comes back, and this guy has to come and circle back to get open. Maybe he has to read where maybe this forechecker came inside out. Maybe he came outside in. Maybe he's not so smart and he went right at him. But every one of those scenarios, you're giving decision-making and awareness. So where you place the puck is of incredible importance. So when we say let the game be the teacher, we mean set up the environment for them to learn through that game. But you still have a big role. Rick?
You were saying to give constructive feedback to those players.
I don't think I used the word constructive, but okay.
Okay, or feedback, or ask them the question, why did you do this?
I said connect the dots.
When do you do that?
So ideally, great question. Ideally, and we're not all in this situation, but ideally, I'm facilitating the drill, and my coach here, or your assistant's facilitating the drill, and you're coaching the players as they come back to line, right? Seldom do I want to stop the whole drill and address everybody, okay? Unless it's a constant mistake they're making, and you think you're going to save time by bringing them in and setting that, right? I don't like that there are times it's going to happen, but ideally, you want to create that one-on-one feedback and relationship and problem solving with those players, right? And we don't want to tell them. We don't want to tell them. We want to ask leading questions. We want their feedback. We want them to figure it out a little bit, right? What did you see? Why did you see it? Give me more. Like that. Good, great question. Are we good?
Quick
Sir.
question. One thing we've decided too is we involve our goalie in those breakouts as well. We'll be on the far side board throwing it around, have the goalie come out and stop it, and then move it to the corner for the.
Well, that's part of spotting the puck,
Yeah.
right? When I say spot the puck, it doesn't have to be against the wall. It doesn't have to be, right? It could be on the goalie. I mean, Lori talked about that, right? The idea of a small area game of not move it, move it, move it. And then in the game, your goalie stops it, he throws it out because you'd be able to move it for 3 weeks. And now it's in the back of your net because he just threw it out in a panic. And now you yell at him because why did you do that? He should yell because you told me to. The last 3 weeks in the rack that you told me to. Right? So, yeah. Are we good with this? Yes? All right.